What's up, nerds? Now, I know I'm late, but I got stuff going on in my life. But today we are talking about the movie Wicked. Now, after years of waiting for the adaptation of the popular Broadway musical, finally this thing hit the big screen. And while there's a lot to love about it, there's also plenty to unpack and critique. So grab some broomsticks and let's get into it. Let's break down Wicked, the movie, and see if it really lives up to the hype. First off, let's talk about the performances. If there's one thing Wicked absolutely nails, it's the casting of Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba and Ariana Grande as Glinda. These two really step into their roles with a level of grace and intensity that makes you believe they were born to play these characters. Erivo especially, she owns Elphaba's complexity, portraying her as a character of great depth and inner strength, while still keeping that core bitterness and frustration that makes her the wicked one. Her singing is, of course, top tier. And when she belts out Defying Gravity, it gave me goosebumps. Now, Grande, while often criticized for her physical appearance, she absolutely is delightful as Glinda. She brings the charm and lightness to the character, which is important because Glinda is supposed to contrast Elphaba's darker, more serious nature. Sure, some of her acting choices feel a little too glamorous at times, but her voice is still solid, and she brings an undeniable likability to the role. I mean, their chemistry is what really anchors the film. Now, as you can sense that these two women are best friends despite their differences, the dynamics between them make it clear why their bond is so central to the story. Now, I'm saying all this, but in life, these two actresses are weird as shit, I'll tell you that. Moving on to the visuals, let me just say that the set design and costume work are absolutely stunning. Shiz University, for all of its flashy and almost theme park-like aesthetics, it feels like a space where magic could come to life. It's vibrant, whimsical, and totally transports you into a fanciful world. It's a little like the Emerald City meets Vegas, and I think that that's kind of the point, you know? The movie never really feels like grounded in reality, and that's okay. You know, the over the top feel of the world only adds to the sense of the like escapism of the story. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I do have some reservations about how the movie leans into its diversity and social messaging. The inclusive casting is well intended, but the movie sometimes gets too caught up in the modern day politics. Take Shiz University, for example. We're told the school is a place where all ethnicities come together to study magic, and yet Elphaba, because her green skin, is the only one being discriminated against. It's hard to buy into this when we see other characters with eccentric appearances, like students wearing skirts, for instance, who aren't receiving any backlash for their looks. The inconsistency in this messaging feels a little forced and honestly a bit contrived. Now, on top of that, the way the movie takes the Wizard of Oz legacy and transforms it into an anti patriarchal tale feels somewhat heavy handed. I'm all for empowering women, I guess, and telling stories of resistance, but the way it all unfolds here is just a little too obvious. I mean, the wizard isn't a benevolent leader. He's a sinister manipulator who uses the patriarchy and the systematic power as tools to maintain control. All right, we get it, Hollywood. Power structures can be corrupt, but when the movie's plot revolves so much around these ideas, it can feel more like a political statement than a story. I mean, I don't need anything I watch to come with an agenda. Now, despite these political themes, I have to admit that Wicked still offers entertainment. The visuals are breathtaking, the songs are catchy. I love Popular to be is my favorite, and the central themes of friendship and acceptance still resonate. It's just unfortunate that the movie occasionally gets lost in the messaging, leaving the characters and the plot feeling a little less compelling. And there's an unfortunate disconnect between the high stakes drama and the characters' journeys, and the unnecessary preachiness that sometimes comes across as a little clumsy. Now, speaking of the music, let's talk about the songs. Look, I get it. Wicked is a musical, and we all expect catchy tunes. But I gotta say, the songs here overall do sometimes feel a little generic in their presentation. Now, sure, Popular is a fun and quirky tune and my personal favorite, and that plays well on the screen. But there are some songs that don't have the emotional depths and the cultural impact of, like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I just have to say, another song that really hits hard is Defying Gravity. Cynthia Erivo nails the performance, and the song itself just feels, so spectacular. And there's no lacking in heart or soul, from the original musical. So another one of my biggest issues, though, is the handling of the secondary characters. Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero and Ethan Slater as Bach just don't have the chemistry or presence to hold the screen in the same way that Elphaba and Glinda do. Bailey's Fiyero, in particular, it feels more like a side character than a leading man, and his chemistry with both the women is surprisingly weak. I mean, there's a certain dullness to his performance that made it hard for me to care about the internal struggles for his eventual transformation. And Slater's Bach, well, let's just say I don't feel like I will buy into his transition into the Tin Man at all. And it's not that they're terrible, it's just that they don't quite fit the way the other performances do. However, it's hard to ignore how this film is already an event. I mean, people are going to love it, whether we nitpick the details or not. It's big, it's bold, and it's here to make a statement. I mean, the massive appeal of Wicked is undeniable. I mean, I love it. And it's going to make a ton of money. I don't know if it's going to hit the $1 billion marker like I thought it would, but you know what? It's fine. And Hollywood can make money from a spectacle, but they could stand to remember that quality and substance should come first, which I think that they've done here. And at the end of the day, Wicked is not a bad movie. It's just a movie that gets a little lost in trying to be something more than it is. I don't think that the musical elements quite live up to the legacy of the original Wizard of Oz, and the political themes are sometimes too overt, and the performances are so strong, and they do not lack the magic to elevate them beyond what we've seen before. I mean, I can't tell you how much. I mean, Cynthia Erivo is fantastic in this movie. Glinda's my favorite, but man, does Cynthia Erivo knock it out of the park. She's better, in my opinion, than Ariana Grande in terms of singing, and she does a great job. But and if you're a fan of the Broadway show, this movie will give you plenty to enjoy. I mean, even though this might not be the cinematic masterpiece some are making it out to be, it's still, it's so really, really, really good. Yeah. So to sum it up, Wicked is visually stunning. The performances are solid and in some cases mind-blowing. And the plot often takes a back seat to the political messaging, while well-intended, feels forced at times. Now, if you're looking for fun, fantasy-filled ride with a lot of spectacle, then you'll find it here. I mean, it's got all that shit. But if you're a hardcore fan of the original Wizard of Oz, or if you're expecting a musical that matches the grandeur of its predecessor, you might leave feeling a little disappointed. Me personally, I've seen Wicked 3 times on the stage, and I loved every minute of it. And I did not like the books. I read all the books. I think the books suck, to be honest. I didn't like any of them. I mean, I don't need activism in my Wizard of Oz. And it's very obvious that the writer of those books, I do not remember his name. I don't care. But it's very obvious he wasn't a fan of Wizard of Oz, which, I mean, to each their own. And so that in conclusion, I just have to ask, what did you think about Wicked? Is it the next big hit, or is it just another overhyped adaptation? Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on my next movie review. You guys have a good day. Bye.